This International Women's Day chat. We've got lots of different people here, so it's going to be really, really nice and really interesting. Lots of different views to go on today, I think. So we'll get the ball rolling. We've got Sarah Howard here, who's our chair of the British Chamber of Commerce.
Morning.
Morning. So Sarah, why do you think we need more women in leadership?
It's such an obvious question, isn't it? And such an obvious answer. Because women are the driving force behind the economy. Women make most of the purchase decisions in the house. And we are a really vibrant part of the community, and we need to be running businesses, and we need to be in positions of influence, and we need to be encouraging more women to do it. So it's for the good of the country. We are a massive part of the workforce, and we need to be represented. Simple as that.
Yeah. And what progress have you seen on gender equality in your life and work, especially with the chamber? I think that's really interesting.
Well, for me, I started a long time ago in the city. I worked for KPMG and JP Morgan and had a blast. I worked incredibly long hours, but I absolutely loved it. But at that point in my career, not just with those companies, but just being in the city, it was very difficult to have a career and have a family. So my husband and I started up our own business in IT, and the main reason was that so I could carry on working and we could live the lifestyle we wanted to live. So I could be there for the children, I could be there to pick them up and go to their nativity and all that sort of stuff, but still work and still contribute. Whereas now I'm not saying it's easy, but it's a lot easier. There's a lot more balance. Men are able to participate a lot more in that childcare. There's still more can be done, obviously. And there's a lot more flexibility. And I think one of the things we're taking out of the pandemic, for all the costs of the pandemic and the way it's put women back, we have to make sure we take those things through and take that flexibility through. And it's not rocket science, is it? A happier member of staff who's able to not let their child down and go and do what they need to do, but still work, still do the hours and be contributing, is going to be so much more productive and a better member of your business. So I've not had a massive issue on my way through, but that's the difference I have seen, the change in the ability to have a family, and also frankly to admit to having a family. Because when I first started out with my business, if I had to go and do something with my children, I would say I had to go for a meeting. I wouldn't say, really sorry, I've got to go and take my child to the dentist. Whereas now that is something I've seen a lot more of. People being very honest about what they're doing and it not being an issue. It just is life.
It's really sad that you had to do that, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. I mean, my absolute worst moment was when I had my second child. I had a C-section, and about half an hour before I went down, I was actually on the phone chasing some money from a client because they hadn't paid us. And obviously I didn't say where I was as far as he was concerned. I was in the office, but I had to keep going because that's what you did there. Whereas now it's a lot more acceptable to have a life. So that's been the major change.
I had a story that resonates with me. My daughter is in the high dependency unit. She'd just been diagnosed with type 1 diabetes, and she was really poorly. And we had a minister for health at the time come to Cornwall to visit, and he had no idea what my story was, but in front of 200 people hit on me, and I was just blown away. I just could not believe that there was this awful thing that just happened, and all I could think about is that I had to leave my child's bedside to have this. And it was in support of chasing money, and you had to do right for the business, for our Cornwall, and I had to bring in my PA at the time to sit at the bedside for my daughter whilst my husband was in Afghanistan. It was a pretty momentous moment in my life, but it just really epitomizes that we can do it all, but we have some horror stories along the journey.
Yeah, it sounds it. So Helen, how do you think everybody can contribute to more women's empowerment, really?
contribute towards women's empowerment. I think there's lots of ways we can do this. The first thing is that honesty. What's already just started in the conversation from Sarah is that we have to have that honesty around our lifestyle and our life laundry, because as we get older, things happen. We have more responsibility to take on, and we might even be thinking about our older family members as well as our younger. So we're in this sandwich generation, and to support more people, we have to have that honesty, that vulnerability, and be okay with that, because we need to trust each other and trust that people will get the work done in spite of life laundry, and that they can support each other. We need to spend more time recognizing that none of us are perfect, and we're all doing our best in life, and be okay with that. Instead of striving for perfection, for excellence, we need to really go back to basics and say, this is the best of me. And if you trust me and allow me to be flexible, then I will give you the best of me.
I love that. That's beautiful. And Helen, why do you think it's important to have women of all ages in the workplace?
Well, my expertise sits around the aging population, and our older people, we can't be dismissive. The knowledge and the experience that an older person can bring to the workforce is without doubt just, you can't even put a price to it. There is such a huge amount of learning and support, and it's about standing on the shoulders of giants. The younger generation can be empowered when we talk to the older generation, and likewise, there's a lot of skill sharing. It's not a case of you're too old, darling, you're menopausal, you're not going to remember. And we are still hearing that narrative. It is about saying, actually, you've got a whole stack of skills that will really make a difference to help us, as you say, work together in society. And we have this aging workforce. Part of the industrial grand challenges is around the aging population. And now, people, what are you going to do until you're 85? Tap your fingers, retire at 52, do nothing? Contribute, share your knowledge, and inspire each other. Gift and lay the path for the younger generation. It's a no-brainer as far as I'm concerned.
Fantastic. I love your views. I could listen to you talk all day. Ali, so you're head of manufacturing at Bishop Fleming, is that right?
Correct, yeah. Partner and head of manufacturing, yes. So I'm a chartered accountant, chartered tax advisor. Yeah.
All hats.
all of those bits. But generally, yeah, just I guess a woman in leadership, responsible for kind of handing the ladder down and supporting those generations to progress through their career, and I think I'm kind of halfway between the start and the end of mine, and yeah, I think that's what I see as one of my main responsibilities, is making sure I can, certainly as like a new mum as well, I have a 2-year-old, show people that they can have both. They can have their career and they can also have a family, and it just about works. just about juggling it at the moment.
Do you think, what would you think your message would be to yourself 10 years ago in your position, or what position you were in 10 years ago to now?
Yeah, so I guess I always knew that I wanted to be a partner in a firm of chartered accountants in this country, but there were many steps that I took in my career to gain experience, and I think I ended up where I wanted to be, but I did it almost blind, by kind of doing what I felt like was the right decision at the right time. And I think if I could give anyone any advice that was earlier on in their career, it would be like going back to what Helen was saying, find those people that have more experience than you, and get them to help you, because that's what they're there for, and they're certainly more willing nowadays than they used to be. And I think I could have probably done quite well with the support of a mentor, I think most of my learning in life has happened in my 30s, and I would like to think that I can do more for women in the earlier stages of their career by supporting them. So yeah.
Lovely. And where do you think, or where do you feel most valued in your career path from, I don't know, whenever you left university, I guess, to now?
Oh gosh, it's got to be now. Obviously, Bishop Fleming would probably prefer I said that, but we are a very people-focused organisation. Our ambition is to be the most rewarding accountancy practice for our people, our clients, and our communities. And I think that most of us really feel that, and certainly I feel it because I can bring myself to work and feel that my skills are valued. And this is when diversity comes into its own, because locally we have a group of partners across the Plymouth and Truro office. There's 9 of us in total, relatively evenly split, 4 women and 5 men. We all have different skills, we all have different personalities, and we divide our responsibilities up accordingly so that we're all doing the things that we're really good at doing. And I think it works really well. So yes, I just feel valued for being me, which is a really, really nice position to be in.
Oh, brilliant. So I also spoke to Kelly Grigg, who's a family consultant solicitor. She can't be here today, unfortunately. She's got another meeting to be at. But I spoke to her briefly about why we think more women are heading towards working from home, and again, going back to the whole businesses need to be more considerate of women with families. And I'm just going to kind of read out what she said to me. So she said it's incredibly important for businesses to be considerate of women with families at home. From my experience, women are an asset to any business, especially if their employer are able to be flexible and trust them to work from home when the need arises. They tend to go over and show their gratitude to their employer, working additional hours and around their children to ensure that deadlines are met and standards are kept high. She said that during COVID, she needed to be more flexible, so she took the leap and went self-employed, and she's now able to work super flexible hours, only averaging around 30 hours a week, and spending the majority of the week working from home and looking after the kids, and being able to be more flexible for her colleagues as well as all her clients. Claire, what do you think, which international women's stories need to be heard and supported more?
So it's quite a difficult one. I was thinking about this, and there's lots and lots of women that obviously we could talk about and, have inspired us all. But, right now at this particular time, I think with everything that's going on with Ukraine at the moment, the women of Ukraine, do you know what? We need to think about those, because in the news, we're talking about the men and their husbands and the dads. They're all going off to fight and how brave they are. And they really are, unbelievably brave. But those women are at home. Those women are saying goodbye to their husbands, their dads, their grandfathers. They're having to keep their children sane and safe. They're having to make decisions right now that they never in their life expected that they would ever have to make. And I think, that's inspirational as a woman. They may still be working. They may be working from home. And there was a reporter who fled the city, and she's gone out to the country, and she's taken her son with her, who's so afraid of the situation that he's physically sick constantly. She doesn't know what to do, and she's working. She found somewhere in the country, and the first thing she said was, it had internet so I could continue to work. And that's what she's doing. She said goodbye to her husband who's gone to fight, and she's continuing to work and look after her child. We can't appreciate how that must feel for her and what she's having to do right now, or any of those women. So right now, I think for me, it's those women who are taking the lead for their families and for their country right now. So that's what I would say at the moment. I don't know if anyone else would agree, but that's
100%. It's so scary, isn't it?
Yeah, it's remarkable what they're doing. Remarkable.
There are also, I was looking at LinkedIn this morning, there are also some women who have stayed back to fight.
Yes.
Well. So they're not just taking that supporting role, they are also fighting alongside the men, which is something that we never thought we would see, I think, through. So yeah, it does, obviously it puts everything into perspective, doesn't it? And I think any support we can give them through the chamber network, then we have to do it, don't we?
Completely agree.
Yeah,
completely agree.
Yeah. Sarah, what do you think would be your International Women's Day message if you had one? Oh, can you hear us?
Sorry, which Sarah?
Sarah.
Oh, sorry, Sarah Whipp. Sorry,
I've
there's
seen
two
that.
Sarahs.
Sorry, what's it, my what would be my, so can you say that again? Sorry, I thought you were
your International Women's Day message.
I think for me personally, my perspective is probably a little bit different from everybody else's. I think for me the most kind of crucial thing is just to, I think resilience is the main sort of thing that I think about a lot when I think about women, and also just confidence and knowing yourself and knowing what you want, and sort of realizing that the majority of women that I've worked with have all been very different to myself, and their personal backgrounds and situations are also different, but that's okay. And just because everybody else might conform to be a certain way, or live their life in a certain way, it's okay not to do the same. And you just got to step. For me personally, I always if I'm having a bit of a wobble, I'll always think to stay in your lane and kind of focus on your goals and what you want to achieve, what's important to you, and don't let anyone else distract that. I think you just have to just stay focused and kind of just do what's important to you. I think for me, like, integrity is huge. And yeah, just basically stay in your lane, keep focused and keep going until you get to where you want to be.
Yeah.
Have you heard of shine theory?
No.
I talk about shine theory all the time because it really resonates with me. Shine theory is an investment, and over the long term, it's about helping someone to be their best self, and it's not, and relying on them to help you in return. It's a conscious decision to bring your full self to your friendships and to not let your own insecurities and envy ravage your opinions. So shine theory is a commitment to asking, would we be better as collaborators than as competitors? And the answer is almost yes. And shine theory is something that it's been around for, probably officially been around since 2010. And it's about being intentional, accountable and personal, shining the light on another female, saying, I will support you, and in return you support me. Whether you're in similar minded businesses, or you are just shining the light to draw their attention and lift their confidence, because confidence is such an important part of everything we do now, and it's a practice of cultivating a real spirit of genuine happiness and excitement when your friends are doing well, and being there when it's not so good. So have a look. Shine theories, it's how I base my business practice, and go into every meeting and every piece of work with the intention of shining a light on others, so we all rise together.
And it's great to see, isn't it? If you do that and you see someone progressing, that is the most fantastic thing, isn't it, to have been part of that.
Yeah.
And I think also what you say about Sarah, you said about resilience and confidence. I think in business, the main difference between men and women is confidence. There's that thing, isn't there, that a man will go for a job if he fulfills 60% of the criteria. A woman will want to fulfill 100% of the criteria. I think we have to be a bit more gutsy. And I think as leaders who have a voice as well, we have to talk about how it's not perfect. It's like, I've got my job, my family, my home, and I can do two of those really well, and the third will be failing, hopefully, and usually it's my house and my home and feeding people. But you're going to drop the ball sometimes, and acknowledging that, and that's going to happen, and that's okay, and everyone does it. And you're not sitting here as a leader with perfect nails and perfect makeup and a perfect life. You are just a normal person doing your stuff, and that then gives, if you give that message out, I think that gives more confidence to more people that, okay, I can, if that's the way it's done, I can do it again as well.
Yeah, I think as well, when you talk to other women in business, you can always relate to how they feel, and I think that gives you the confidence sometimes that you need to be able to have those conversations and go, like you've said, I've had a really tough time becoming who I am today, because I've had children and I had to make some really difficult decisions. And there's for me as well, my child has hurt herself and I've been going shh when I'm on the phone to a client, because I don't want them to know that my child's around me right at this moment in time. And you do these things because you're not confident enough to turn around and go, do you know what, right now my child needs me more than my job needs me. But that doesn't mean that you're not important, as my job isn't important. It just means that at this moment in time, and it's very difficult as a woman to know how to prioritize things, because we don't want to fail or look like we're unable to fulfill what we're promising, our promises. So we do put a lot of pressure on ourselves, I think, for those reasons. But having conversations with other women, it absolutely inspires you.
Yeah, and also to Helen's point about the older generation, there's like, I know everyone's talking about the moment, but the menopause, talking about the menopause and normalising it. And I've been in meetings before, because I am so menopausal at the moment, where I've just had a hot flush and I'm chairing the meeting, and I said, look, I just need 10 minutes, and step outside, grab a coffee, we will reconvene. And no one's died, no one's walked off in disgust. But it needs
just
people,
being human.
Exactly, it needs people like us in that situation. Obviously, you're all far too young to be in that situation.
No, I'm a menopause expert. I give lectures on menopause, and I educate businesses, particularly the male-dominated businesses, because everybody has a mother or a friend or a colleague who is getting older. And you know what? Menopause is a thing. It's part of the aging process. All women, whether you've had a baby or not, will experience menopause at a certain point in your life, and some will sail, and others will crumble. And you can have all of that in the same hour as well. So it's just the most bonkers time. But you know what? It's all about that empowerment. If you educate and support others around symptoms, it's not just physical symptoms, it is mental health as well. And your mental health at that critical time of your life, when estrogen is leaving your body, you get confused, you muddle words, and you're like, oh my God, I can't do my job. And then your stress hormones kick in.
Yeah.
When that happens, it exacerbates all your symptoms even further. So
it needs us to normalise it, doesn't it? And to accept it's just part of life.
Yes.
And just to be, and you don't want to, it's not an excuse.
No.
You don't want any particular special treatment. You want just people to recognise it. And if you say, I'm really sorry, I'm having a moment, just say, okay, just get on with it, whatever. And then to carry on, because it's just part of life. And if you're going to have an older female workforce, then as a business, you need to get used to it, because otherwise you're going to fall.
And she will really appreciate you. Because that's the thing, if you've got a company that acknowledges her temperature, for example, or has some open narrative where we're talking about breaking the stigma, she will be so thankful that there are people with empathy and understand what's going on with her, because she will give you the best version of you. But if she is dealing with her stress because of medical appointments, because of mental health, physical health, how she's wearing, how she's presented herself, God forbid the sweat, it's like if she gets supported on that, you'll get even more out of her. So it doesn't make sense to have any bias there, you know. It's like, let's embrace this wonderful time of a woman's life.
Yeah.
Embrace all the women and the whole of our lives.
100%.
And all of our careers. Perfect. Well, I think it's been a really lovely chat, guys. I think it's been great to catch up with everybody and get everybody's views on things. I hope you guys have enjoyed it too. Does anybody have anything else they'd like to add before we finish off?
I think I'd just say, take International Women's Day. It's not just a day, it's all year. But if you can take something from it, go and do something you wouldn't usually do. Go and ask somebody for advice. Go and ask someone to mentor you. And if they say no, ask someone else. It's not a failure. Not everyone can do it. But accept you won't necessarily always get a positive answer, but just go and do it and give it a go, would be my message.
Brilliant. I love it. Fantastic. Thank you so much, ladies. It's been absolutely lovely to catch up with you all. And yeah, happy International Women's Day. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right. See you again.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.